Hello and welcome, and today is the first video on my gaming channel. I hope you're going to enjoy this. I know I am, so let's get on with it. Today I'm going to talk about a game called the WarZ. Now this game had a very bad start in life. It was released on Steam by the developers when, to all the people who already play it and know it, it's quite well known to be an alpha. So why they released it as version 1.0 on Steam, I don't know, but this resulted in a lot of media frenzy over the fact that it was terrible, for a release candidate game of course, and that it was completely just broken, which you could understand from a person who was under the impression the game was, in fact, version 1.0. Now I enjoy playing this game. I'm not going to say that it's faultless, but it's pretty good, and for an alpha I think it's fantastic, and the way that I can see it's going to build, hopefully the fact that I bought it and I ploughed some money into it, so I'm hoping it's going to grow into something good. But that's kind of unlikely now because the player base has been slashed because of this negative media campaign that's been put against it, unwillingly by a lot of media because, as I said, it was seen to them to be version 1.0. I just think this game does a lot of things well, it does some things badly, but I think I'm going to address the things it does well first, and that would be that it's a good game. It has a good feel. It's doing the things that it wants to do very well, and it's got a good idea of where it's going. It's not really polished yet because it's an alpha, and it's not executing the stuff it wants to do as well as it could because it's an alpha, but I think that it's got a great idea. Personally, I think it's different to WarZ, to DayZ. I think it's a lot different to DayZ because it's a lot simpler. It's got more of a different feel. It is obviously probably going to be a little bit worse than the DayZ full release. Of course, I can't make any judgment on that now because, in fact, I haven't played it because nobody has because it's not out yet. But I'm going to say that it's probably not going to be as good as DayZ full release. But it's still a good game. I think it's got some good weapons. Some of the weapons feel a bit tinny, whereas some of the rifles sound and feel like BB guns, which is, you know, kind of odd to play, I suppose. But the game, as I said, is in alpha, and there are some really good points to the game. So what actually happens in the WarZ? As you are in the DayZ, you get spawned into a environment which is only one map at the moment because it's in alpha, and it's called Colorado, which is in Colorado in the United States, and it's just a set of towns and villages and resorts and little areas that you can explore, find weapons, kill zombies, and eventually get killed by other players, which is something that it has in common with DayZ. This is, like I said, a very good system. It works really well. They've executed a lot of the things well as some of the things badly, but let's get onto that in a moment. Some other things that it does well is it has, for some strange reason, really nice lighting, and nothing else. Nothing else in the textures and the graphic quality is of any considerable standard. I mean, the trees, until the latest patch, which came out a few days ago, they looked god-awful. They were 2D images crossed over to try and look 3D, in a very bad attempt to try and look 3D, and they were just blurred, really bad green things. They were terrible. But recently, in this recent patch, they've made them so they're a lot better, probably a higher resolution, and they've now added spines and pines and stuff, so it's not just one single block. However, it is still a very 2D thin thing, but as I said, alpha is alpha, and the branches on the trees, they still look really bad. They're just a brown blur, kind of like something we don't want to be talking about that should be kept in the bathroom. So the bark on the trees is kind of better in the previous patch, but not that great still. So the texture qualities are questionable, but again, alpha is alpha. But the one thing this game really excels at, for some strange reason, I can't see in my mind, it doesn't make any common sense how they would focus on this before they focused on making the textures good, was the lighting. Yes, the light in this game is pretty much fantastic because if you go behind a tree, it'll split through the leaves and do it absolutely fantastic. You look at the sun, it looks pretty much like, give or take, the real sun in real life, and it's a very good lighting engine. Some of the shadows for the trees are, again, kind of bad, but the actual light itself and the way that it interacts with other objects is very, very, very good. I haven't seen it in a lot of other games this well, because I don't know, it's just, it looks really good. You kind of have to play the game to understand what I'm saying, but it's a very good lighting engine, and I can't understand why they didn't focus on the textures and generally making the game better before doing the light. So what is it like to play the WarZ as a player and to interact with other players? I think that it's probably very similar to DayZ. There's not an awful lot different in terms of community. Obviously the community for the WarZ is a lot smaller. It's got a lot less media press, and a lot of that media press is negative, so the user base is very small. They do kind of still have the PvP thing, that a lot of people get killed by other players just because they're trying to have some fun and be a jerk, I guess, of deathmatch and all that. And the zombies, I think, work a lot better than DayZ. I'm not sure whether they've improved it since I've last seen some DayZ, but the zombies on DayZ look very bad, in my opinion. The way they run, they're just very straight and glitchy, I suppose. They run way too fast and way too glitchy and all that, and I don't really like the way they look on DayZ. However, in this game, the one aspect of gameplay that they've got over DayZ is the zombies, because they run well. They generally look like zombies, and they run like zombies do in most games and films and media. So I think that's the one thing that they've got over DayZ. As I said, the guns, they do give you a sort of satisfactory feeling when you shoot a zombie in the head, which is of course where you've got to shoot them, otherwise they don't die, because that's kind of the law of zombies. And that's another thing, I'm pretty sure you can shoot zombies anywhere in the body on DayZ and they'll die, whereas in the WarZ you shoot them in the head. That's the way to kill them. So little things make this game better in some small way than DayZ, but right now I think they're both different games that you can't really be comparing them to each other, because they're totally different games doing a similar thing but not a very similar thing, if you know what I mean. They're going at the same thing in different ways, and I think that DayZ at the moment has got a lot more popularity because it's built on a better game to begin with. WarZ is built on the WarInc engine, which is from the same publisher that makes WarZ, even though there was some kind of weird copyright thing that nobody understood. But anyway, it's built off that engine, and of course DayZ is built off the Arma 2 engine, which is considerably better, to say the least. So the choice of weapons, the whole look and feel of the game, and of course the graphics look a lot better on DayZ because it's built on a very good engine. The Arma 2 engine, of course, being a really great engine. However, the WarInc engine is not as good. WarInc wasn't a particularly successful game, and the people who play it are kind of very small in number, let's say. So I think they're very mismatched, because WarZ is a very indie thing, whereas I know, of course, that DayZ is an indie game, that it is an indie free-to-play thing, a mod, and of course they're both very young and very in alpha and indie and all that, but it's got a much better base, WarZ, than the sorry, I'm confused. The WarZ has a much worse base. DayZ has a better base than WarZ, because it's just built on a better engine. So that's where you can probably put the better differences to. So which one do I prefer? Personally, I do think that DayZ is a better game, and it's probably going to be a better game upon release. However, you've always got to have competition, because if there's no competition for DayZ in the same category, that of course WarZ fills that space, then it's just going to become stagnant. Even Call of Duty, the Goliath that is Call of Duty, has Battlefield, and it did have Homefront, which failed rather spectacularly, but it does have other competition, and I think it's obviously a dire need that DayZ has some competition. Otherwise it'll just stagnate and it'll just not get any better. So I think that the WarZ serves a good purpose as being a competition for DayZ. There is another small thing I haven't mentioned which gets on a lot of people, is that the WarZ is in fact not free to play, it's something like $15 or $20, or there's varying packages you can buy to support the game, but the lowest one is probably about $15, and you have to pay that to play the game. Whereas with DayZ, you have to buy Arma 2, which a lot of people might have already, and you can download that. And of course, you also get Arma 2, which is in itself a very good game. So a lot of people are saying that is it worth buying the WarZ over DayZ? Now, if you have the money and you like this kind of game and you want to see both sides of the story, then of course buy the WarZ. But of course, definitely, if you already own Arma 2, go ahead and download the DayZ, because it's free and you can download it and play it, and there's no reason why you shouldn't. But should you buy Arma 2 just to play DayZ, and of course Arma 2, I think you definitely should buy it. If you're looking to buy one of the two, I would go for DayZ, simply because I think they've got a bit of a better grasp on what they're doing. The coverage and the attitude of the WarZ developers is kind of patchy at best, because I've heard loads of different things, a whole spectrum of various things that have come from the devs, that some of them good. When they released it on Steam and there was that whole palaver, they apologized, they sent an email out, but previous to that there was a lot of confusion. There was of course the whole getting it on Steam thing in the first place, and I don't know, it just feels like they don't care as much about their game as the developers of DayZ do. So long story short, if you're looking for a zombie game, a multiplayer open world zombie game, survival, DayZ is probably the route you want to go to. But if you do like this genre and you want to try something new than DayZ, you've got bored with Jay-Z. I'm bored with Jay-Z, to be honest. When's he going to release a new album? If you're bored with DayZ, then check out the WarZ, because it's a good game, it's got some good potential, and if they pull it off, it could be a really great game. So thanks for watching this first video on my gaming channel. I know I've been a little bit stuttery, and I've been kind of messed up a little, and kind of, you know, like that. But it is my first video, and of course I promise this will get better with practice. As I said, things take a lot of time, and they do need practice. So thanks for watching, and I hope you find the need to support me, and you'll subscribe and all that goodness. So if you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe for future stuff. I'll see you next time, and this has been really fun making, so I will make a lot more gaming content in the future. See you guys later.